But we hear that all over the place of how hard it's got to be and how almost like a badge of honor. Like it's,
Right.
I killed
agree.
myself to build this business. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be that guy that goes, man, I had fun growing my business. I enjoyed the processes. There was all kinds of excitement in it.
I love building my business, Alan.
Yeah, you do.
I love kicking doors in. I love firing employees.
Doc, let me ask you this: so you grew up in the mindset that you had, and so when you were young, and adversity came or a curveball came, it'd be like, oh, I deserve that, or oh, life sucks, or whatever it was that you're thinking. Today, with all that you know, when life throws you a curveball. Where does your mind go?
It much more instantly than it used to be. Goes to that point of I'm learning something here that's going to help me accelerate beyond this point.
Oh, do you hear that?
My first book the first book I ever published was Life's Lessons, and it was all accountability of my life when I started looking at things going, man, why is all this stuff happening? And I was tired and beat up from being a victim of circumstance and situations of other people and all that. And I started looking at what can I gain from this? Like if life happens for me and not to me, why is this happening? And I started learning so much from those upsets.
That's huge.
Life happens for me, not to me.
Well, and whatever life deals you, what can you take out of it? What can you learn from it? As opposed to, oh God, here it goes again. What a freaking awesome thing to say.
Now, beautiful. Think about that. Somebody who's trapped in programming, and now all of a sudden they can take every situation they face in life and learn and grow from that. That's a whole different way of living.
Because what else are you going to do? Yeah, I love that.
Well, you be the victim,
right?
And you tell everybody and you jump on the pity pot and whatever else you do for it.
Yeah, Chris with a K is sitting right on the pity pot. His legs has got numb.
Chris with K, his legs are numb on the pity pot. He is definitely pity pot, and he's got no bidet.
Extreme here,
and he is not getting up. I mean, I don't know who that dude is, but he ain't no good. You know what I'm saying? No good. Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Alan, I'm running a speed racer, and I got to get going. I got to drive fast. That's what I do. I'm in Atlanta, and let me tell you, if I'm not in the left lane ripping up somebody's butt, hitting the hammer the whole time, I ain't driving.
You're one of those.
I am, but I only do that.
You strike fear in all of our hearts.
I always do, unless I'm in one of my marked trucks with the trusted toolbox.
Oh, do you actually pay attention to that? Because it blows my mind when I see somebody with a logoed vehicle driving like a complete ass.
No, I switch all the way around, and I'll tell you why we do it. You want to know why? I'm going to make you drive the trusted toolbox, and we're going to go ride around together. You'll never get cut off more in your life than in that freaking truck.
Why?
Because nobody wants to be behind you as a contractor, right? I've got a home repair business. Everybody knows that. Handyman, I've got 20 trucks on the road here in Atlanta.
Please be patient, student driver bumper sticker or 4 on your...
Or 4.
Yeah.
So one of the big things here in Atlanta is I think people think that if you put student driver, be patient in the back of your car, we're going to automatically just decide that to be nice to you. And it's the exact opposite. But when you are in a logoed truck driving anywhere, you get cut off more than ever. And you never get let in. You will always get cut
and you can't give them the finger because you're representing your company.
I can't give the finger. So that's why I drive an unmarked truck. I get it all out. I got that horn rolling. I get that finger flying. I got the Colt 45 sitting right on my hip, ready to take it off my whip and ready to knock it down, baby. No, I'm kidding. But that's actually why I don't do much of that. Because
are you really kidding?
I'm not so sure.
We're going to leave that to the imagination because here in Atlanta, we like to drive fast because, I mean, there's 6 million people driving on roads that were built for 3 million people.
No, they weren't built for 3 million. They're built for 1.5 million.
They were too.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as a grid system in Atlanta because they never thought they would be this big. because it's just horrible. And I could talk about traffic all day long, and then people in LA are like, and people in DC are like, yeah. But then our buddy in Tasmania is like, I don't even know what you're talking about because we have like 6 cars in the whole island.
That sounds like heaven.
Atlanta's one of the worst places to drive through for me for traffic. And I've been through New York, I've been through Chicago, Detroit, like all of them. And
yeah, no,
man,
it's tough. It is tough. I mean, there's just lots of stuff to deal with. So, but that's not why we're here today, is it?
Oh, really?
Well,
that's what I prepped for.
No, let's talk about me again.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
It is about Chris.
It is really. Guys, another great episode, another great week. You're in your truck, you're driving around wherever you guys are. Make it happen.
And girls. Quit
And
pissing
ladies.
off half the planet.
All right, again, I'm from the North. So who knew that the South here in America would be the most progressive by saying y'all? Because that's more inclusive than me saying you guys. Oh, are you trying to put down women? I'm like, no, I've always said you guys. So that's what I do, even for women. Hey, guy. I don't say it like that. You know,
I'm not buying it.
I know, but I try. I know. No, I give something. You know, I try. Okay, so
y'all in the truck. Go ahead.
So back to Alan's statement. You all in the truck, gender neutral, define who you are, his, hers, they, whatever that is. Guys, we got to make it happen because I don't give a crap about all that. I give a crap if you're making your business happen. I give a crap if you're getting better at what you're doing. You know, one of the things that I think is underappreciated that we don't talk about a lot is that we're the engine drivers to this economy. We're the engine drivers to the U.S. We're the engine drivers to the world. And people don't give us enough credit for how hard it is that we do our thing. And we all like to get wrapped up in watching political news or watching global news or watching what Wall Street's doing or economic policies. But you don't realize that, man, we're the ones making it happen and making it drive. Don't let that distraction get in the way. Do not let that become something that you start to focus on, because if you focus on, you become. We want you to be focusing on the right stuff, and that is making your business grow, making yourself grow. Let's get better at what we're doing, and we can make a difference in the area we're at.
Amen.
Thank you. Let's go.
I was going to say faith and family first, but, you know, other than that, business, right?
You know, the party line
Did I
is
make you feel
God,
guilty?
family, God, faith, family, and then you, right? Faith, family, then work.
I think so.
Who they kidding, man? Try running your own freaking business. Let me tell you about that. First of all, faith gets
we
tested.
can talk about how to make a difference there with the alignment.
I'm gonna slide a little further away from Chris when the lightning hits. Yeah.
I've danced a lot. I'm going to be dancing this one, but I'm telling you,
You got
guys.
some stuff to talk about. Confession this week, my friend.
Me too. Okay, Father Flood, I'll see you Saturday morning. I'll get it all out. It'll be good. But listen, I'm telling you, man, when you want to get your faith tested, start your own business. You want to get your family tested, start your own business. This is not for the faint of heart, people, and then we're going to go make it happen. So thank you for joining the show. That's the Small Business Safari. Tell your friends if you like it, and if you don't, shut your mouth up.
Well, and I'm glad we have the guest we have today.
Let's
So
get into
that if they listen to him, then they don't have to follow your or my path.
All right, let's do it. Let's get into it. Who are we talking to today, Alan?
You tell me. You've got the last name down.
You know what? My last name is Lalomia, and I can say that I've got Dr. Joseph. Nope. I got to see the name first. If I see it, I can say
Something
it.
like that.
Drolshagen. That's easy.
Oh, perfect. That's better
Drolshagen.
than I say it.
Hey, let me put. I'm going to put that up. I'll be your voicemail. I can help you voice your voicemail. Dr. Joe, thanks for joining us, buddy. Let's get into it. Let everybody know kind of what you do and what you're ready to help everybody with.
Yeah, my whole thing is after a 28-year corporate career from ground floor sales up to executive positions, vice president of sales, things like that and stuff, and then stepping out and help. My specialty is helping small business owners to break through that revenue ceiling. That's really what I do.
I don't think anybody needs that, though. So business is slow for you.
You know,
I'm
good
assuming.
signs of somebody that needs that is people who are struggling to grow, people who are lost the connection of faith, family, and then business, and are living business all the time and stuff, and live in anxiety and worry and all of that stuff. That's somebody who could really utilize the services that I offer.
Sounds like we have a customer right to my left.
I'm Alan, please. I identify with that. So you talked about that revenue ceiling. I love that one because I have talked to a lot of business owners, and everybody's. We all love talking about our sanity line. I mean, I'm sorry, our vanity line, which is, hey man, where's your revenue at? Like, yeah. Oh man, dude, 5 million. I'm rocking it, baby. Oh, I'm hot. Hey, what's your sanity line at? I mean, how much you actually taking? No, let's not talk about that.
Right.
Let's go back to the strip club and talk about vanity.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
you
and
talked
that's the other
about that.
part of it too is the margin. How much of that money are you keeping of your revenue?
Yeah, you
So
talked about
that's
that
that side
revenue
of it
line.
as well.
Where do you see people? Because I think it's all relatively scaled, right? I know people who've got $75 million business revenue. I know people who do $750,000 a year in revenue.
Right.
So it's all that relative ceiling. Where do you see people have the hardest time in that revenue, like breaking through the barrier?
Sometimes it really determines based on the individual and stuff. And everything I do is customized and unique for each individual I'm working with. I don't have a one size fit all or any of that BS, type of the programs and stuff that I offer. But really, like, you take somebody that's like, I've worked with companies who were making a couple grand a month and that was all they were doing. And seeing them growing into a year and a little over a year later, they're doing $60,000 a week in revenue. But along that route, they hit that thing of, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know if I want a multi-million dollar business because I'm working my butt off now. What's it going to be like when I get to that level, And so it's the perceptions that determine that. And so what it is it's shifting those perceptions at different levels. When I have somebody that's doing, like I had a client that just working with right now, he was at $300,000 a year revenue, and over 12 months, he's doing he did over $2 million last year in revenue. And part of that whole thing is there's almost like a trigger that happens when we go to that seven figures for a lot of people. And it's just that fear of, first off, getting there and it actually working. Secondly, is maintaining that every year. I'm already working with him now on, I'm looking at him advancing over that this year, and has fears of maintaining that or even coming close. He's willing to settle for less than that 2 million just to keep him doing okay. So it's really, and it's all, like you said this earlier, it's all based on the perceptions that we come into it with. Right.
No,
And
amen. That's why I love that because when I talk to people in the remodeling world, I know remodelers who will do a $500,000 to $1 million reno. I work in the handyman world, and so I do $1,000 to $50,000 jobs. But when I talk to people, it's all perception. I mean, if we all sat here for a minute and said, "Man, $500 is on the floor. That's a lot of money. I'm going to reach down and grab it." But when you talk to a remodeler and they're like, "Dude, you're doing jobs for $500," I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I'm doing jobs for 500,000." I'm like, "I know." But I have people who will call up the phone and go, "Chris, I'm spending a lot of money with you." And it's all the perception. And back to your business, that's why I asked that question. I think, when you're one level, it's hard to put yourself at that next level and realize that life could be a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm processing as he's talking because it's interesting. I mean, everybody that's in business listening to this, they're like, "Yeah, of course I want to grow. Yeah, I'd like to be a millionaire. I'd like to be 10 million." And it's interesting that what you're talking about is fear, because when I think about scaling, it's like, okay, where do I get the resources? How do I have the cash to add to my marketing and add to my staff and grow that way? But what I'm hearing from you is maybe the reason why you're not growing isn't that. It's how you think.
And so many business owners that struggle will discuss all the reasons they're struggling is the state of the economy, competition, all these outside influences they have no control over. And it's never true. And the proof of that is we all know businesses who made their greatest leaps during a down economy. And we all know multiple businesses who struggle even during boom times. So it's never the outside influences. It's our perceptions. It's our thoughts of what we see the possibility being.
Hiring the right people shouldn't feel overwhelming. At Smart Hire Solutions LLC, they take a smarter, more human approach to hiring. Smart Hire Solutions helps you get the right candidates, carefully vets, presents only the best fits for sales roles, lead technicians, key team members, in home services, construction, and many more. No resume pile nightmares, no wasted time. Today's labor market is tough to navigate, and having the Smart Hire Solutions LLC team on board makes it smooth sailing. Founder Tina McKenna brings decades of real-world experience, not only in recruiting, but in marketing. She runs this thing like a business that's involved with you. Check out their fresh approach at yoursmarthire.com. That's yoursmarthire.com. Or connect with Tina McKenna on LinkedIn. That's Tina McKenna with Smart Hire Solutions, LLC, yoursmarthire.com. Yeah, I think you hit a big point. Again, it's perception. It's just so hard to break out of it, though. So
It is.
Well, let's give a real world example. Let's just say there's a guy named,
let's call him
Chris with a K.
Chris with a K. Thank you, Siri. That's what Siri calls me.
That
Chris
changes
with a K.
everything.
Yeah, this is hypothetical. Good.
Who
And he was,
hypothetically just said, everything he's hearing from all the suppliers and all of his, it's going to be a flat year in 26.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chris with a K is just going, okay, this year's going to probably suck. How do you break through? How do you make a change and just buck that thought and that trend?
You might hear a really good example of something like this, or like real life, something that happened to somebody is I was working with a realtor who was in Virginia, and we come out of the gate developing a vision with the subconscious monetization technology that I developed. And so with that, the guy just rose up, man, and he started just killing it right from the start. Once we got that vision and started moving into it and such, developing systems of accelerating habits. And then he moved to Tennessee. And when he moved to Tennessee, it wasn't like it was just because of family, things like that and stuff, grandkids and stuff, that he moved to Tennessee. And so we did the same thing with the vision, got it going and sparking and everything else. And the first couple weeks the guy was there, he would tell me how, like, he'd be at the gas station and he'd just say hi to whoever was neighboring him, and they'd get talking what he does, and they'd say, oh, I know somebody looking, or yeah, I'm looking to sell my house. And all these leads just started flowing. And then in the same week, he went to 2 different networking events for realtors, and he heard about all the competition and the low inventory of housing and this and that and everything else. And that guy walked out of there, and within a little over a week, his business is everything started drying up. Even some of the things that were potentials faded back and everything. And so we walked through that, and what it was is he went to those 2 meetings, and he heard all the reasons it can't work, and he bought into that. And his perceptions aligned with that rather than I got this. And it just started losing ground. And that's what happens to us a lot of times. How often do we hear, if you want a successful business, you got to trade off your life for it. That's got to be number one in your life, which skews that, faith, family, and business and stuff right away. And we buy into that. So we start following that. And then the people that are doing it easy, I have clients of mine who have grown, like what the numbers I've given you, the highest increase that I've seen one of my clients achieve is they were at $7.5 million in a 13-year high. And that's what the annual revenue was. Within 12 months, they toppled over $22 million in revenue. And they've been maintaining that for 7 years now. Now, when I tell people that, they go, that's BS. That's impossible. And it always will be for those people, because we're conditioned to believe that business has to grow incrementally, and it's got to be hard, and it's got to be tough. And we're starting to break some of those with 10X and the different things out there and such. But as that conditioning, and that's what the perceptions are. Our conditioning in our subconscious, there's a motherboard, and this is where I specialize, my doctorates in and such. There's a motherboard that hosts all of our programming, our patterns, our paradigms, our belief systems, our experiences we didn't even have. And then that determines our perceptions, which then determines our results in what we experience. So if we want to change our results, we got to shift those perceptions. And the only way to do that on a permanent level is go up and rewiring that programming within the subconscious.
So, all right, let's talk about, you're talking subconscious stuff. How do we rewire subconscious?
Was that one of your classes when you were getting your doctorate, is subconscious stuff?
I will tell you guys, I lived through what I do today. I grew up in a very struggling family in Detroit, Michigan, and watched the weight and the impact it had on my parents and stuff my entire youth. And I came out of there. And when I was 22 years old, I didn't go to college because I was told my whole life I was going to work with my hands all the time growing up and stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because I come from a blue-collar family. But as I started getting into it, when I was 22 years old, I had a guy who had a multi-million-dollar construction company in Detroit, Michigan. And he asked me to take over the company, and I would pay him over 6 or 7 years is a percentage share of whatever revenue came in. Within 3 days, I said, I can't do that. And I couldn't figure out why. It took me a couple weeks to realize the reason I couldn't do that is because my programming was such that I didn't feel I worked hard enough for it, so I didn't deserve it. And I passed on that opportunity. And that carried into when I started out in sales in different areas and stuff like that. So I come from that mentality there. The way to shift the programming is you first have to be able to identify it, which so many of us can't even do for ourselves. When I got to that point of understanding I had to shift it, I didn't know what to shift. I had to go out and find somebody to help me identify what were those hiccups and those holdups in my programming. And then as I figured them out, I would, and this is over a 30-year period, you guys. So as I figured those things out, then I would start experimenting with all kinds of different things to start getting a shift in there. And I was at a point 10 years, 11 years into, developing sales territories in the U.S. that I was just going to quit, man, because I was traveling 3,000 to 5,000 miles a week and I was barely making a mark. And I had other guys in my office that were taking Fridays off to go golfing, coming in half a day on Mondays and stuff. And I couldn't figure out what the difference was. So I just assumed that I was broken. As I started identifying and shifting these things within a 2-year period, I went from barely scraping by to landing $18 million, $22 million, and the highest was a $25 million year-over-year contract. And then that got me promoted up into, leadership positions. And then I could help my guys in that middle of the pack in sales elevate to top producers. And that's when...
Go.
Yeah. So, Doc, let's go back to Chris with a K. I have a conversation with him. Your thinking is self-destructive, and you need to think more. So we adjust his mindset to where I am going to be successful this year from I'm going to be flat or I'm going to be backwards. What happens tomorrow? What does he do tomorrow that impacts the results?
Yeah,
and
talk
fulfills the prophecy. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You know how we talk about the why? You hear that a lot about business. What's your why?
Yeah. Love it.
Okay. I've taken that to a much greater depth in that as we come out of the gate developing what the SMT method refers to as a dynamic vision. What does that life look like? What's it look like to put that life on and to live that life? And how do you spend your day and what's your team look like and what's, production looking like? And we take that to the nth degree of clarity with that, but we also put feeling, tone in it. What's it feel like to be that person? As we do that, we start we're automatically shifting the end result because as we're developing that vision and putting ourselves in that place, now we start seeing ourselves differently, which is shifting our perceptions all by itself. In developing that vision, we're bumping into those limitations that will not allow us to go further. That person with the $7.5 million business, all they wanted to do was get to $10 million. That was it. And they were going backwards when we met. So I stretched them. I helped them stretch that to 12.5. And once they opened up that doorway just to see beyond the 10, all of a sudden things just started. It was like a rainfall of opportunities of things for them, a revenue growth, more listings, things like that and stuff.
Well, what did they do different though? I mean, you got them to 12.5, but then the next day, what did they do different when they went to the office?
So part of the process, and again, what I do is unique to every individual. So once we get the vision, then we start developing systems of accelerating habits that's unique to that individual. So I don't have, out of hundreds of clients I've served over the past decade, I don't have 2 of them that are doing the same thing. So we start developing things that fit for them into what they like doing. I have people who early on in business, they can't stand the phone. It's that 10,000 pound phone. So we find other avenues. They don't like doing videos and social media. And we've seen those people. You've seen on Facebook or one of the social medias where somebody's doing a live and you can tell they're so uncomfortable. And we don't listen to those things. And then there's other people that are they're home. When they get that camera on them, they're home. And so those are the people we listen to. So what we do is we help every person that we work with define what those systems of accelerating habits are. And then we find more time to do those things because that's what's turning on the attraction. That's what's opening the doors of opportunity. That's what we're doing that we enjoy doing.
I am taking it all in, Alan. Yeah, and I'm not sure I can do it. So you start working with somebody. Perception obviously is a big deal. it's really hard for us to break those habits. And I've read a lot of books about this and how to break them, and I get it. So how do you help them break those habits so they can start unleashing that power, as you will?
Yeah, once we, because so many people are trying to break habits, they don't even know the full content of the habit. Not that we have to go back in time and figure out where it came from, but we have to understand what is that interruption happening. Once we understand that, then we have tools between the vision, the accelerated systems of accelerating habits, and other tools that we use to shift that. And it's really, again, unique to an individual. So as we're applying that and making that shift, it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens much more rapidly than old school way of doing things, where you start writing affirmations and you start doing things like that and stuff in order to make change. Is it's pointed to this person and it's pointed towards that vision. So ultimately what we're doing is using that dynamic vision, once it's established, to align and get the reprogramming the subconscious to align with that vision. And as we do that is how we start seeing rapid results. And the entire technology, the entire method is designed to bump up against those and then shift that programming throughout the entire, method.
So you've had a career in business and you have your doctorate in psychology. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you go for your doctorate after being in business, or getting your doctorate, did it make you see business more clearly?
No, my doctorate's taken almost 30 years.
And so
I never planned on having an education because I was raised told I was going to work with my hands. So the fact of ever getting into white collar and up to executive levels and stuff and do what I do now it really shouldn't be possible based on the programming I was given.
Huh. All right, so let's go back to that. I can't put him on the couch because he's a doctor and I'm not, and I've been through therapy.
He's peeled back both of our skulls.
I know,
without us knowing.
I
right?
know,
Yeah.
I know. We're just done. So, as you were developing your teams and doing your thing and making things happen, where did you start to see the misalignment or the mistraining that a lot of people had? And let's talk early on, and then maybe
Okay. Yeah.
In the beginning.
I mean, that was a big case for me with the construction company. That was like a big, man, there's something really broken about me, but I had no idea what it was. And then by half chance, I ended up getting into white collar and doing, building sales territories and sales and stuff. And as I did that, I struggled so much to land anything. And I'm a pretty nice guy. I know how to speak to people and things like that. So I couldn't figure out what it was. And
I'll tell you, you do seem like a nice guy. So I'll affirm that for you.
Thank you, Chris, with a C. Not to confuse you with the one with the K.
Not the other guy. Not to be confused with the other guy, Chris with a K, because I don't know who that guy is.
I got you there, man.
Right.
It's clear definition there.
Dumpster.
But no,
total dumpster.
But then I would try coaching programs and things like that, and I'd go through and I'd give it 100% and dive into it, and I would get done with them, and I'd be like, I gained knowledge, but I never saw a change in my results. So for me and where I came from, I always tune that to there must be something broken within me. I don't deserve to get what those other people get, as far as higher revenues and easier life and things like that. I must not be meant for that. And I just lived on that. And then I got to a point of frustration, of using things like alcohol and gambling to cope with the life that I felt like I was stuck to and things like that.
So Chris with a K just got done telling me that perhaps he was just out in Vegas with me, and we did drink and gamble a lot. So I'm not sure where you're coming from because I'm not Chris with a K, but I'll cheers to that. And can I get,
yeah. Well, I went beyond the point of cheering, and there you go. And so anyway, and I did that to cope with life, and so it was a real, I guess, bottom time in my life when and the other things happened to add to it and stuff. And I was going to quit and just go back into a factory. When I came out of high school, I got into a factory cleaning oil out of machinery. Very dirty job, but so that's why I thought I was.
A lot of us who don't know, of course, we're Michigan kindred spirits. We love Michigan. He grew up out inside of Detroit. I grew up outside of Detroit, and my first job was in a machine shop. So we both saw kind of the same world that we thought we would be born into and have to stay in. And that is,
Absolutely.
go work in the machine shop, go work at the big three at the time. And that's where you went, which, by the way, wasn't a bad life, guys. It wasn't a bad life. A lot of people raised their families on it. And so I will not diminish that at all. But
I have a lot of respect for blue collar.
So that's why I ask, that perspective, right? Because our perspective when we were younger and having to go do that, we didn't know there was anything else other than this that's staring us in front of us. We only had 3 channels on the TV. Well, we had 4 in Detroit. I always brag about that because we had the Canadian channel, and I got to watch Hockey Night in Canada.
Yes. Yep. With Don Cherry.
Don Cherry.
That's right, baby. So you went there, you saw it, and you started working. How did you, and that's why I would say early on, as you broke out of that mold and you started on another one and started working on the sales. And let's talk about those early years, because I think that's where a lot of the formative stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I was very fortunate, and, I leaned a lot into my faith. I was very fortunate in having somebody put in front of me, and I was introduced to him. We became friends, and he was a high level person within the pharmaceutical industry, like an executive level person within the pharmaceutical. And he saw something in me nobody else ever saw. And that's how I got my first job in white collar, because of him. Because we would get together and I'd want to throw frisbee or football or things like that, go rollerblade. And he'd go, why don't we talk for a minute? And he had these cue cards, and it would just interview questions. And he'd go, what kind of job would you want? And I kept saying, I would love to get a job in white collar and break through that side. And I'd love to have a company, like a laptop computer and a company car. And that's what I was going after. And the first job I had outside, after we practiced that had to take 8 months or so, gave me a laptop computer and a company car.
So, number one, I think that's a great lesson for all of us. Whether you're on one side or the other, it's perspective. And here's the one side. The perspective is I'm always looking for people to mentor me. On the other side, I'm looking for other people to help and be a mentee. And that's where, your perspective changes. And when you get to go to do both, and Alan is the best example of this, because he gets often asked a lot of questions, and people always come to him and say, I have a lot of questions, man. Can you help me? And he does. And he gives a lot of his time, and I do the same, but he does it way better than I. But I think being able to flip that perspective helps us as we grow and through our life and do whatever we're doing. So as you did that, you had somebody who believed in you. And so off you went. Next thing you know, you're in the laptop, you're in the company car, you're tonning it, you're making it, you're killing. So how did you start to translate that to start flipping over?
Because even when I got there, I wasn't killing it. I didn't feel I deserved to be there.
Still.
And I struggled traveling. That's why I said I was traveling 3,000 to 5,000 miles every single week,
it's like
developing
that imposter
territories.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
It's so toxic. I had
always
bad.
anxious, always nervous, always fearful I was going to get found out that I shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Ooh. All right.
Oh, Alan. No, please, step on the couch.
No.
I mean, I've been through plenty of it. So interesting. So you did not at any point that time go, hey, you know what? I'm killing it. And now I started to tell people to go back. I'm going to give back, I should say. Interesting.
No, I don't have that kind of, like I've had friends of mine who are business, successful business people and things like that, stuff that say, you should be proud of yourself for what you've done. And I feel blessed. I don't feel like
where does that imposter syndrome come from? I mean, it's been paralyzing, and I had it in the corporate world, and it took me a long time to get over that. I know a ton of other people who have. I mean, where does that come from? How do you kill it? How do you make sure that doesn't infest your kids?
And that's a great question, and so powerful. Where it comes from is
we have a competition.
Yeah,
did we just win a bet, you and I?
Yeah. All right, you're my favorite.
All right, Dr. Joe, keep going. Yes, he's got a great question. Okay, fine.
That's funny.
But I do want to hear the answer.
No, but
because it is interesting. I'm very interesting.
Yeah. So what it is our programming. When you grow up in a household like I did with 5 kids, and my dad operated cranes and worked so many hours, he would say, he'd be sick as a dog, and you go, Dad, you're not going to stay home? And he goes, no, I'll stay home when I feel great. I'm not staying home when I feel like crap. and that was the mentality. And my mom worked all night long doing court reporting transcription, and then would have us 5 kids, get us to school and everything, and then sleep a little bit and then get up and go at it. So that's how they lived, and I saw the surgeries my dad had on his back and hips and things like that from all the banging and everything. And my mom with fatigue and stress, and like it was very heavily weighted growing up in that environment. But in that environment, I was told multiple times by my mom and elementary teachers that some people are meant to work with their head, some are meant to work with their hands, and I was going to work with my hands. So I never really applied myself because I thought, well, this isn't my lot anyways. Why do all the studies and everything else? So I came from that. So that's where we get our programming from. And then we go to school. I'll give you guys a great example of this, okay? Let's say that, Chris, you and I are in the same algebra class, and they give us a problem to solve. And I go through every line item to get to the final answer and do all the work and everything else. And I get the right answer, I get full credit. If you come along and you're doing it and you got a couple shortcuts and you apply them to it and come up with the right answer, you get marked down because you didn't show all the work. That's programming. That's conditioning that's happening during that phase. So we get it growing up. We get it through our schooling, we get it through employment, we get it through relationships. I mean, look at how many people there are out there, men and women, who don't even want anything to do with the relationship because of a past hurt that happened that they never did anything about. And there's like just that wall there that they live with every single day, missing out on really, really, good things of life because of what happened in the past. All of it gets embedded into that network. And here's the important part of that subconscious, that motherboard, I call it, is that's what triggers the brain waves to the actions we take or we don't take. So feeling less than, feeling anxious and nervous, that we don't even have to have something going on around us to make us feel that way, but because we're so conditioned to feel that way, right out of the chute. So so what happens is we start living through that. Now you take somebody who's saw very rough times with finances and things like that as a kid, and now you put him in that place and tell him the exact actions to take to get out of it, and he won't take those actions. The brain waves to take those actions do not get triggered. So they live in procrastination, or they come up with that's BS, or they come up with all these. That's why so many people live on minuscule scraps of what they truly desire, because of that programming, which leads to perceptions. Well, sorry.
It's hard. I mean, I think obviously Alan's definitely processing.
Oh God, yeah.
I know. I think you talked about something that's interesting, is that you don't get credit for short circuiting the system when you're in school.
I just figured you looked at the doc's sheet and you copied.
No, I did not. But I will say, I did. I will say again, with the Master's of Mechanical Engineering, you cannot say.
Oh, throw that out there.
Check this out. You can't say, and a miracle occurs, and find the number and put 6. No, I did never put that. That's actually a joke that's out there for you. I will say though, I got to this point, pray to the partial credit gods. I wrote that on there, and he wrote back, nice try, 0. Not that long.
Nice.
Yeah, I got nice try. So I tried it. I mean, hey, I was giving it a shot. You know what I'm saying?
That I would have given you like 3 or something.
I know, that's what I thought. But yeah, no. But
I used to love multiple choice when I was in school, because you had 1 of 4 chance, 25% chance of hitting the right one.
Well, that's how I passed government, because we all had to pass government in Michigan to graduate from high school. That was a requirement. You had to pass the government class, but our government class would be ABC. The United States Constitution was drafted in 1901. No, yeah, 1901, 1522. And then whatever it was, 1760, like it was clearly obvious which one it was. If you just actually have one eye open, you knew it was in the 1700s. It was so funny. Yeah. So that's how
that's how the whole process of our mind works. Our conscious mind is knowing what we want comes from the conscious mind, and then the subconscious holds all the programming patterns and all that stuff. But it also triggers the brain waves to the actions we take to get there, or doesn't trigger the brainwave to those actions, which we see as procrastination, less than, reducing down what we truly desire to minuscule scraps, and things like that. The gentleman that was afraid of redoing it again, he was willing to settle for just over $1 million revenue in 2026, just because his fear grew so big of hitting or going over the top of that. So that's my job as his tour guide, so to speak, to help build that back up to see that $3 million number or $4 million number or whatever it is.
Yeah, again, we started with it, and that's the angle I actually was going for, was perspective, and it's just hard when you're staring at option A, and there are option B and C out there. It's just hard to get over that with your head. You mentioned fear of getting over that number. That's never been my problem.
No, I always feel like most people, it's their fear of failure, not their fear of success. This is very interesting to me.
Yeah,
I used to say that too, but I'm amazed at there's a higher percentage of people who are afraid of success that I've come across than there are fear on the other side.
huh. There's one thing, Alan. I do feel like sometimes you go, well, you know what? If I get to that level, I'm not the scrappy guy that got me to this level. And so, back to the Rocky series, right? I don't ever want to be too comfortable where I'm not. I do like to feel like I'm an underdog punching up, as opposed to
you're comfortable there.
I am. Yeah, because I like scrapping. I mean, I'm a fighter. That's how I got to where I was, and that's how I am.
But you do want to be Big Daddy.
I do. I mean, so I have no problem with it.
No.
Dr. Joe, just a question though. Am I going to be really fearful if I have a G7 as opposed to a smaller jet? Would it be?
Well, let me ask you this. When you talked about what size business you take on versus other people, that would not place you in the big dog situation.
Right, I know. Oh, correct.
So you want to be big dog, but why aren't you then?
Yeah. I'm gonna start to ball up and cry.
Great conversation right here. I don't mean to call you out, Chris. I'm just.
Well, that's Chris with a K.
Chris with a K. Chris with a K has negative thinking, and it's going to be flat, and his people, they need to get their ass kicked.
So Chris with a K just chimed in. He texted me. So here's
okay. What did he say?
So Chris with a K said he tried it and it failed miserably. He tried it for 10 years, didn't get that big number that he thought he would in the remodeling world, and had to go back and say, I'm really good at transactional volume. Let's go make transactional volume blow up on the scene and take it nationwide. So that was his idea as it goes into 26. But Dr. Joe, that's a great question. I felt like I kept digging at it and it just never worked. And back to this, I feel like I failed on it. You know that. Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's never really a failure unless we stop pursuing. That's when failure happens. So I have a gentleman I worked with, and he had come to me and he had this great business idea, wholesaling real estate. I didn't even understand the whole thing with it and stuff, but he would not take an action into it. And he had been like looking into it and planning for it and everything else for like 2 years before we met. And so we crossed paths and we get to talking. And so as we started developing the vision and started moving into that, it just block after block after block after block. And one of them was about 7 or 8 years prior to that, he bought a car wash, he bought a car wash. And he bought it for a reasonable amount and everything else. And he got it. In the purchase, he never, ever thought to do his due diligence with checking traffic patterns and things like that. And so he buys his car wash. He starts going forward with it. He invested. He ended up closing it or, giving it away almost really like a year later. And so he didn't want to do anything else because of that failure. And so when we really broke it down and looked at it, it was like, well, what did you miss? What's the lesson there? And the lesson was do your due diligence. And so now he's stepping up into a much larger mountain with what he wants to do. And thank God that car wash was minimal compared to what he wants to do. And he was able to learn that lesson there. So now the guy's a multimillionaire now. And he does, I don't even know exactly what he does with real estate and stuff, but he has built this business and he's done his due diligence with it. And I've helped other companies that were almost failing, that were just didn't look at didn't do the due diligence on what they needed to look at to see whether this is going to be successful.
So you've mentioned that your approach is, I like to go unique. I like to work with you one-on-one. Tell us a little bit more about how that looks if you were to engage with, let's say like Chris with a K.
Yeah. So the SMT method is an entire technology,
SMT again is what? SMT?
Yeah, subconscious monetization technology. So there's a whole method to it that we go through. And the way the process starts is, I told you, we come out of the gate developing a vision. There's the first 12 weeks we work together. It's based on a 1 year, 12 months. But the first 12 weeks we work together is about developing that vision, bumping into and shifting the patterns that come up, even for us to be able to see that possibility of that. So we're growing that possibility. We start taking some steps into developing those systems of accelerating habits. So we start seeing different opportunities. We start seeing doors opening. We start seeing revenue grow. And then once we got those tools and we've adjusted and we've shifted some of the programming within there, then we go into a 6-month phase of rapid growth. It's like hockey stick growth that we go into. And what we're doing is taking those same tools and now implementing them directly into that business. We're solidifying the systems of accelerating habits. We're taking actions. We're aligning the whole thing, and we're moving into actively seeing that growth happening. And I used to end there at 9 months. And what I found, and even in that phase, that second phase, we're still identifying and shifting patterns. We're still that programming within the subconscious, but and a lot of times we're just doing it at a deeper level. So in the first phase, we get to touch on it and we get to make a shift to allow us to see that vision, see the potential bigger than what we did before. And now we're taking it into the low, next layer of the onion, or a couple layers down in that onion. And as we do so, we're developing those systems of accelerating habits. We're moving into taking those actions, and we start seeing doors opening. That's the time you can tell when somebody's on that trajectory, because they'll overhear something that gives them the answer for something, right? We talk about coincidences, but we can utilize coincidences as part of our design that they're going to happen when we get on this pathway. So all of a sudden things start happening, people say coming out of the blue, or coincidence, things like, and as they start happening, now we start accelerating that growth. Most of my clients during that second phase will work less hours a week with less effort than they ever did before. That client I told you about that went from 7.5 to $22 million, over 22. During that year of growth was the first year of their adult life, they took 5 weeks of vacation during that growth period.
Sign me up for that one.
It's
what?
opposite of what we hear growing a business has to be like. But we hear that all over the place of how hard it's got to be, and how almost like a badge of honor. Like it's,
Right.
I killed myself to build this business. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be that guy that goes, man, I had fun growing my business. I enjoyed the processes. There was all kinds of excitement in it.
I love building my business, Alan.
Yeah, you do.
I love kicking doors in. I love firing employees.
Doc, let me ask you this. So you grew up in the mindset that you had. And so when you were young, and adversity came, or a curveball came, it'd be like, oh, I deserve that, or, oh, life sucks, or whatever it was that you're thinking. Mm-hmm. Today, with all that you know, when life throws you a curveball, where does your mind go?
It much more instantly than it used to be. Goes to that point of, I'm learning something here that's going to help me accelerate beyond this point.
Oh, do you hear that?
My first book the first book I ever published was Life's Lessons. And it was all accountability of my life when I started looking at things going, man, why is all this stuff happening? And I was tired and beat up from being a victim of circumstance and situations of other people and all that. And I started looking at, what can I gain from this? Like, if life happens for me and not to me, why is this happening? And I started learning so much from those upsets.
That's huge.
Life happens for me, not to me.
Well, and whatever life deals you, what can you take out of it? What can you learn from it? As opposed to, oh God, here it goes again. What a freaking awesome thing to say.
Now, beautiful. Think about that. Somebody who's trapped in programming, and now all of a sudden they can take every situation they face in life and learn and grow from that. That's a whole different way of living.
Because what else are you going to do? Yeah, I love that.
Well, you be the victim,
right?
And you tell everybody and you jump on the pity pot and whatever else you do for it.
Yeah, Chris with a K is sitting right on the pity pot. His legs has got numb.
Chris with K, his legs are numb on the pity pot. He is definitely pity pot, and he's got no bidet.
Extreme here,
and he is not getting up. I mean, I don't know who that dude is, but he ain't no good. You know what I'm saying? No good.
Oh my gosh. All right, I got to ask you just a completely random question. Are those albums that I see behind you on the wall? What am I looking at?
No, I've been blessed for the past 5 years to be selected as one of the top business coaches in the United States.
Mm.
So it's between 3 different magazines at every
Oh,
year.
those
And
are
it's
all
based,
you.
yeah, and it's based
I
on
thought,
client results.
wow,
Yeah, so I got 4 on the wall, and then there's one right here from last year.
that's impressive. I thought they were all rock stars.
Well, they
Well, I
are.
guess they are rock stars.
They are. It's me, baby. I'm the rock star. Guys,
See, I'm not
catching
thinking
me.
right.
I'm just making sure I got this. What life does for you, not to you. All right, got it. That's the
Is that next year's word of the year?
no? That's
What?
going to be no. No, that's going to be the title of this podcast, though. 'Cause I want people to
If
listen
you
to it.
take every upset that happens and look at it that way, I'd love to hear back from you guys and see what
Yeah.
comes of it just by shifting that perception a little bit and saying,
That's
okay,
massive.
yeah,
That's
it is.
seismic. That is a seismic shift, and it's not that hard to do. Instead of why did this happen to me? What can I take from it?
So Chris with the K must be listening because he just texted me again and said,
Yeah.
I think that's full of shit, Alan. It seems like it's really hard to do. Chris with the C over here talking to you was like, yeah, you're right. I think we
much
do it.
more enlightened and mature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mature.
It takes
the
a
other
little
way.
practice, kind of like golfing. You know, when you have to go out and practice your swing and build that muscle memory, it's the same thing with this, but it doesn't take near as long as what people think it should. Okay.
That struck a nerve, Dr. Joe. So both of us are struggling with our golf game right now. And in 2026, I have a
I'm
mastermind.
visualizing kicking your ass in 2026 on the golf course.
I am visualizing absolutely telling you I've got a 17 handicap and smoking your ass all over the place because I am.
So
getting
based
off
on
the
bringing
17.
this up the way I did, is this conversation done?
Oh no, you're just starting to sucker up because it's too cold for us to go out there and go, you know what? We're chipping in the backyard. Let's go. chipping back in the pool. Doc, this has been good stuff, man. You know, we started out in the green room talking about our kindred lifelong affinity for being from Michigan. Alan had the good fortune to go to Michigan for college, to Calvin College over on the west side.
Over here.
Way over there. So it's great. So Dr. Joe, I just don't know. Did you do anything else like write a book? I don't know. And guys, if you're on YouTube, watch this because this is called The Unveiling.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead. Do it right now because oh wow,
there
we
it
have a
is.
book. And wow, Alan, the one thing that we don't have in common is programming your subconscious mind. Dr. Joseph Drolshagen.
Is that a jellyfish?
No, that is your mind. And you know what? We are both authors of Mind's Not Near as Cerebral.
He's got way bigger words on his.
He's got way bigger, and I'm telling you, it's a lot more in depth. But don't forget.
I can shrink him if you
Zoo
want.
the Wild. So Alan, he like everything. He moved to Michigan. He hoped he'd be from Michigan, and he'd hoped he'd written a book like we did. But no, it's just you and me,
I
Doc.
just need to change the way I think.
Well, here's
gonna
another
change
one
it.
that I have for your
Okay.
audience.
All right, bring it up. Hit it.
oh, look at all those words. What's
Well,
that?
Break the attachment pattern, keeping your business small. Engineer your subconscious for high performance leadership and rapid figure growth. Dr. Joseph Drolshagen, Rapid Growth Specialist. Everybody, those are 2 great books. He wants to. Let's do it.
Golf clap.
All right, golf clap. Oh, another. That hurts a little bit because my handicap's still way over 17. We're going to get back down to 8, baby. We're going to get back down. All right. So, Doc, you've answered the question. We've enjoyed this. How does everybody get a hold of you online?
The easiest way is social media, which I'm sure we'll have in the notes and such, website. But one of the things I want to offer your audience is anybody who's heard this and it makes sense or they got questions or anything else, I always keep an avenue open to be able to help people and stuff without sales pitches and all that stuff. And anybody can go to coachwithjoey.com and schedule a 15-minute introduction meeting with me. Anybody who does that, I'll give them a free copy of this book.
That's
Do it.
That's a no-brainer.
Do
You just have to do it. If you're listening to this now, just freaking do it.
Or maybe you don't have the right perception. You don't have the right quality.
Yeah,
you don't
quit
have the
thinking
right
that way.
stuff value. You got to go get
Don't
the-
be Chris with a K with the numb legs on the toilet seat.
Yeah, you know, he just texted me again. He goes, "Can you come pick me up from the toilet?" And I said, "No, I can't right now, man. You're just gonna have to sit there." So, yeah, he's stuck. So Chris
I'd
with
be
the
willing
K
to take a quick break for you to go get the poor guy.
Yeah, screw him. You know what? I don't have the mindset you have, Doc. I had that mindset when you were 17. Remember that one? That was the same. I still got it. I haven't gotten out of that one. So I'm still fighting one step at a time, one punch at a time, every day, baby. That's what we do. All right, Doc, we got to talk about a couple more things. So what's the favorite feature of your home? Because we just talked about this. You moved out of Michigan, and you said something to us, and Alan tried right off the rip.
I won.
Alan won. What is the farthest point in South Carolina from the beach? Hang on. All right, now back. So does anybody know? If you know, Chris at thetrustedtoolbox.com, you send me that. I'm going to give you 30 minutes of my time. Actually, you know what? I may give you a lot more than that. You email me this. What is the farthest place? The farthest place you can be in South Carolina from the beach. Because I go to South Carolina beaches all the time. So this is a good one. Where do you live now, Doc?
No, don't, because
No, don't do it. Stop.
That's the answer.
All right. So what's the favorite?
Wait, can I send the email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to come up and fix your house.
I'm pretty sure I know where it is.
Do you really want 30 minutes with Chris?
No, I'll go up there and fix his house though. All right, Doc, what's the favorite feature of your current home?
You know, I love that I live in a cabin. I've always wanted to live in a cabin on some property with acreage close to trout streams, waterfalls, great motorcycle roads, and I get to do that today.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love that.
Yeah.
Now that's an image.
Here, let me show you.
Image that.
Oh, he's going to show
You
us
can't really
something.
see, the lights aren't on, but yeah, all wood. And
Oh, you know what?
floor,
After
wood
the
walls.
podcast, you're going to have to walk around because we're going to compare cabins.
all right.
Alan.
Is your cabin bigger? Is that what you're hoping?
No, I just want to see where he's at because I can promise you it's probably not. So, all right, Doc. One of the things we haven't talked about a lot, but it does help, is that we're really huge into customer service. We're kind of customer service
Freaks.
kind of crazy about it. What's a customer service pet peeve of yours when you're the customer?
Somebody that tells me they can do something and can't.
Yeah. You know, guilty. I've actually said it because I've been in the sales call.
Over promising.
I've been in the sales
Yes.
call. I'm not going to lie, guys. You know, I sat there. I literally had to write an email before we started this podcast saying, I just can't help you because it's so jacked up and her budget is so little.
But you
It
told
killed
her
me.
up front. I mean,
I did. I told her I was going to go away and think about it and work on it. And I feel horrible that I didn't get back to her quick enough to say I just couldn't do it. And it's still racking me. But don't worry, Father Flood, I'll see you Saturday morning. And it's the best thing about being a Catholic. It's all going on
dump
Saturday
it
morning.
all on the father.
That's right, my friends. All right.
That poor guy.
So
He needs a raise.
Oof. Yeah. So they changed it years ago where we could actually go face to face and doing confessions. And let's just say that I embraced that when I was a kid. And I have absolutely flipped back to going to, I actually mask my voice. I go,
Yeah.
Father, forgive me, I've sinned.
It has been so long since my last confession.
It's been so
I grew up
long.
Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't practice that way anymore, but I can sit through a whole mass and know exactly when to stand, kneel.
Yeah. Hey, it's that, as my Jewish friends say, that's a calisthenic workout. I'm like, hey, brother, that's how I stay in shape. All right. All right. Let's go. Last question. Give us a DIY nightmare story. I'm talking flames, flooding, dismemberment, gangrene, something.
We missed a question.
Oh,
Like from anywhere or from a client, or what are you asking?
no,
Did we ask some
we did.
We
no,
did?
we're done.
Okay.
Freak. And then
Book?
I want DIY. The book was his books.
His book.
Yeah.
I thought it was a book you don't write. Isn't that what we normally do?
Yeah, but his books were, I mean, he kind
He
of
had big words and everything.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get,
go
I
ahead,
get.
Nick.
Oh, then we'll make an exception this time.
All right,
Okay,
I'm gonna make
so
it-
in my 20s, I remodeled a kitchen at my own house, and it ended up turning out really good. But I moved like all the electricity, I moved like all the appliances and stuff to the opposite wall and everything else. And it came out really good, and I had some help with it. So I thought, man, I want to start doing more of this. I enjoyed it, so I started working with other people and doing them. And the very first job I did for somebody, I did everything like I was supposed to do and everything else, and I leave and I go home, and about 2 hours later, they call me and they go, every copper joint is leaking water.
Oh.
And it's because I didn't use the flux on there. And
That's
I
me
go,
hitting my head against the table right now.
oh my God, I'll come back and fix it. And he goes, no, I'm going to get a plumber in here to do it. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
That is awesome. You know what? Thank you for sharing. That's a very vulnerable moment, and I will not make fun of you. But what the fuck were you thinking? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I know. Seriously, you know what? I love it when people tell these stories because I've done plenty of them. I've said them over the years. We've been doing this for 4.5 years, Alan. He's heard it all. I put a nail through my foot. I put a ton of nails through my fingers. I have fallen off ladders. I have fought squirrels. I have almost lit a house on fire. I have flooded a lot of houses. I mean, so I can do a lot of damage.
And if you need anybody to work on your house, call Chris. Toolbox.
So as we were doing today in training at NARI, and this is a beautiful thing, they're like, we know that Chris is the best at doing this. I'm like, no, Chris was never the best at doing this. Chris was a decent handyman. I can work on houses. I'm really good at it. But my guys are so much more talented, and I let them make it all happen. That's why I have 30 employees, make it happen. Guys, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that, listen to this, mindset change, perception. We started with it, end with it. Change your perception. Look at the top, look at the bottom, see what you can do to help people, because I still believe helping people helps you. When you help people, you help yourself. When you start looking up, don't be afraid of the top, man. Keep going up that mountaintop. Let's make it happen. We got to get out of here. We got to roll. Let's go.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve that higher altitude you're looking for in the wild world of small business ownership. And until next time, make it a great day.